All right, now we're recording. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, hello, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome to episode two of What Knitting Taught Me. My name is Caleb, and I'm so glad you're here.
And my name is Bonnie, but you can call me Mom because that's what he calls me. And we're delighted to have you here tonight.
Very good. Coming at you a little bit later than we normally do. And we're still experimenting with different settings that we can record. I'll take a picture of what my setup looks like right now. I got a new tripod that'll hold my surface, so I'm able to kind of move around instead of be tethered down to the table.
Very good. And it's such an absolutely gorgeous evening that I'm outside tonight on my swing. So if you see me rocking back and forth, that's why. I'm sitting on the swing, just enjoying the beautiful, beautiful weather. It's supposed to get really cold tonight. So this might be one of the few times that I can do this from outside.
For now, anyway.
Yep.
And we're experiencing similar weather here. It was a have the windows open all day kind of day. In my neck of the woods, here, we'll get the doggy gate out of the way. It's really inconvenient not having a door there.
It's all right.
Anyway, so let's go ahead and get started. What do we start with? Finished objects.
Finished objects. You have any foes?
I don't have any finished objects. Nope.
I do.
Let's see them. Ooh.
Pull them back a little ways. There we go.
Those are so.
I think these are my favorite socks to date that I've made. And I'm not sure. I like the colors, which I didn't know that I would love the colors as much as I did.
Mm-hmm. I
like the way the contrast came out. And I am amazed how soft it is. It's a 75-25 superwash merino and nylon.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so beautifully soft. And I was very happy with how my heel came out, my gusset. Every pair you do, you get a little better at. And I was just really proud of this one because it really came out very smooth, and I was happy with it.
Beautiful. What's the yarn?
I knew you were going to ask. This is a yarn that I got from Grocery Girls with a package.
2 years.
Honestly, I don't remember.
It was Yarn Inc., and it was actually the first collaboration Jody and Tracy did with the dyer. It was their Moray sock kit.
Okay. Anyway, love it. Madison's birthday is the 1st of November, so I got them done in time. Woohoo! Yay! There's my faux.
They're very reminiscent of like a sport tube sock, but like artistic. The stripe.
No, they don't look anything like a sport tube sock.
No, like the stripe at the top looks like retro. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, okay.
That's what I mean.
And I do wish I would have done the heel. I would have had enough, but I just wasn't confident in that fact that I could do the ribbing and a stripe and the stripe and a toe and heel flap. So
yarn did you have?
I should have, but I didn't. So
how much yarn did you have left?
I don't think I have it in here. I mean, not much. I didn't weigh it.
Oh, you have?
I'd have to go weigh it.
Okay.
Let you know for sure.
Very nice.
So there's my faux for this week.
Knitting up a storm.
I'm trying. I'll go ahead. You're gonna get ready to say something? I've got half a faux on my next one, so it's really a work in progress because it's not a complete faux yet.
You can call that a hoe, a half finished object.
Ah, okay.
Very good. All right. Well, like I said, I have no finished objects. So does that mean we get to move on to our next thing?
Yep. Well, and you gotta understand, it's only been 2 weeks.
Been 2 weeks and I'm working on something pretty big.
Yeah, and you're working full time, so understandable.
And if you heard that, that was the dog getting her bone out of the toy basket and dropping it.
Okay. When you started, I thought you were going to say toilet, so I'm glad it was toy basket.
Oh. It's her bone, like the one that she licks the marrow out of. So you're probably hearing it right now. And it's
We're
just
good.
is.
Is what it is. Yep.
Well, I'll start with my kind of mundane foe, or work in progress, rather. And that is a sock. Okay, but I have gotten quite a bit of work done for me, considering what I have done on the other project. And this is a second sock. And this pattern is the Prairie Socks by Kay Jones.
And that you said that's a second sock?
Yep, the first one is over there. Otherwise, I'd show it to you. And this lighting is not very good. I'm sitting in front of my bay window, so during the day, this lighting would be great.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a turquoise and pink and brown with sparkle.
Yeah.
And this is cat sandwich fibers on their glitter base. So I think you can see some of the sparkle there.
Yep.
And I'm knitting those on 2.5 millimeter needles, or US 1.5s. And I was on this system of where I would knit on these during the day because they're a bit more easy to knit on at the table, like when I'm holding office hours or while I'm waiting for lesson videos to render and export. But my interests have been elsewhere.
Yep.
So that's my first whip.
Okay. Well, my work in progress, you got to see, I believe, part of it last time. But here is number 2 of the sock. So I've got number 1 finished. Number 2 is underway. Just a little bit more and I get to start the gusset. These are socks for Caleb. So Caleb has rather large feet, so I did a toe up because I wanted to make sure I had plenty of yarn to complete the foot. So what I did was I took my yarn, when I wound it, it's a Misfit yarns, and this was one of their mystery yarns. What do you call that when it's a mystery pack, mystery club? Anyway, from what's the TV show? Frankie and Gracie and Frankie.
And it's just Grace and Frankie.
Grace and Frankie. And anyway, so this was a yarn from there. Here's the completed one.
So are they like brown and yellow, or is it like purple?
No,
like,
it's dark. It's a dark, almost black and yellow.
Very nice.
Yeah, I did a 3x2 or 3x2. I don't know. You don't really call that a rib, do you? You call that a rib? Okay. Did a 3x2 there just so that you had some extra give rather than just stockinette. Of course, stockinette on the bottom of the foot. And not real thrilled with how this heel turn came out. So this heel flap. So I'm anxious to get to the second one and see if I can make that better.
Why?
Huh?
What's wrong with it?
Well, it's this is pretty loose. It just seems really tight. So I don't know. I'll mess with it and see. But there again, this is the first I've done a toe up, so it just was really different for me. So.
And what was that color called?
It was called,
like vibrators for old
Like
ladies.
Vibrant, right? Yeah, Vibrant, which is the name of the vibrator that they created for old women in the show. So, oh, that was Georgia. So anyways, this is what I'm working on. We're actually going to head up to Kansas City next weekend. Son Jonathan has a swim meet in Leavenworth. So we're heading up to see Jonathan swim and hang out with Caleb a little bit. So I'd really like to have this done by Saturday, but we'll see.
I
It
think
means I got a lot of knitting to do.
dude, you got a week.
I know, and I probably can get it done, but that's just a big old sock.
You're telling me.
So,
Very good.
and that's my only whip,
For real?
for real.
Hmm.
I'm getting ready to cast on something else, but I really want to get that sock done. So I may hold off on casting on for another couple of days.
Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a second. All right, well, my other whip is last time when you saw this, I was still in the raglan increases, and I am quite past that point. I was about 2/3 through the raglan increases. So this is my Montrealer sweater by Vincent Dells. And you can see that I've almost got a whole body.
Yeah, it's looking good.
It kind of looks like a burlap sack because of the
Get close so I can see the fabric.
and I'm excited for you to be here next weekend so you can feel it. It doesn't feel like a burlap sack, but the color choice plus kind of the texture of the yarn makes it look a little burlappy. But I'm going for like a beach aesthetic. Last week I talked about my favorite terry cloth hoodie, and that's kind of what this is modeled after. So I'm actually hoping by the next time I see you to have this done.
Cool.
And yeah, so I've just got to the part where I mark for the pocket. You can see.
And does it have a pocket like a hoodie?
Yep.
That's what I thought.
So it stretches from here to here. And
So where does the construction of the pocket happen?
when does it?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to reveal too much because it's a paid for pattern. But the way that the pocket works is you don't finish the body right away. You knit basically, so you mark where the pocket is, you knit the length of the pocket, then leave your needles, don't finish the body. Then what you do is you go back and pick up for the pocket and knit the front of the pocket. And then you do a sort of join, which I'm not going to reveal because it's in the pattern, but I can tell you later.
Okay, so you're at the
Hold on. To then join the bottom of the pocket front to where you stopped knitting the body, which is the same length as the pocket, and then you start knitting around again. So it's
okay. So you're to the top of the pocket, you knit down, you knit back up.
No. You're only knitting the front of the pocket. So like what I'm knitting right now as I'm working down in stockinette is like the back of the pocket or
The body, yeah.
Then when I get to, when I've knit, so I've marked where the pocket is.
Mm-hmm.
When I've knit the length of the pocket.
In the body.
In the body. Then I will go back to the top and knit the front of the pocket, doing the increases so that it looks nice. Mm-hmm. And then when I knit the length, when the body and the front are the same length, I'll hold them wrong side to right side, join them, and then keep knitting the body.
So that where you're marking your on your body right now with the top, you'll go back, you'll pick up stitches there,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll be like a double. There'll be 2 stitches because you got the body and then you're,
Then I can create fabric off of that.
yeah, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
And this is knit using the Rosa Pomar Mungo, which is a 50% wool, recycled wool, 50% recycled cotton, in the Avela colorway, which is just a nice mauvey brown. One thing I love about this project is that I've been using puffed woolens every time I sit down to knit it. So it smells just divine as I'm working. So that's that. And then, you know, I have to knit the pocket. It actually has a hood. And then sleeves.
I don't know, are you going to do the hood?
Yeah. I have 7 skeins left. I'm on skein 6. No. Yeah, I'm on skein 6, and then I have 6 more. And so if it's only taking me 6 skeins to knit this much,
Yeah.
I'm not so worried that I'm gonna run out of yarn.
Yeah, because your sleeves aren't going to take as much.
No, I mean, in looking at it, I am a big person, but like it's a big, it's a lot of knitting. So yeah. Last week, last Saturday, I took the whole day and watched the entirety of Ratched on Netflix, which is based off of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and got the finished the raglans and knit a good chunk of the body. And then throughout the week, I always knit on my lunch break. I knit during office hours.
Mhm.
Um,
The bulk of this was St. Elmo's Fire today.
is that a movie?
St. Elmo's Fire is an old movie. It was 1985, and I'm like, I was just in a mood for an old movie, so I watched St. Elmo's Fire and got the bulk of this done today.
When I'm in the mood for an old movie, I watch Sunset Boulevard.
Ah,
But you don't like that movie.
no.
And I don't understand why, because it's a fucking masterpiece. So anyway, that is my Montrealer sweater knit out of Mungo. It's going really well.
Very good. So what'd you learn from knitting this week?
I still have acquisitions.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Don't rush me. You have acquisitions?
Did I have my hair cut last time?
I don't remember.
I got my hair cut. I don't think I had it cut last time. It was my COVID hair. I hadn't had a haircut since March. It was time. Yeah, you need one too.
No, I just need the sides.
Okay.
Anyway, well, I have acquisitions from the great land of the north. And there's one funny acquisition. Do you know what I'm talking about? What I mean by
I'm not
funny
sure.
acquisition?
I think so, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. Well, here we go. I placed an order with To The Max yarns. Imagine that.
Imagine that.
I think it's a line item in my budget now. Pay Mackenzie's rent as well as your mortgage. But I'm a sucker for Halloween colors. Like I love greens, oranges, purples. And they had their Halloween sets up. And so I treated myself with intention. So I used to just buy yarn because it was pretty. Now I buy yarn with, I have to know what I'm going to make out of it. That's allowed to change if I get it. And I'm like, I don't know. But I have to have a plan. And all of these, most of Mackenzie's yarns are for socks, is what I make out of them. So this is a Halloween set. It's actually a mini set and a sock set. So this first one is just a black tonal with a speckled variegated mini for heels, toes, and cuffs. And what I want to do is Claudia, and I'll talk about Claudia here in a minute, but Claudia had a pair of socks that were mosaic, so slip stitches, mosaic pattern work where it was a black base with pride slip stitches, and I want to do candy corns slip stitches like so. That's what this is going to grow up to be, and these minis are sparkly, which is fun. And I haven't ran this by you, but I think we should do a knit along for either To the Max yarns or Halloween socks. Because the reason that I say that is because the second skein of yarn that I purchased was one that I already had Mom purchase for me.
Yep.
And I didn't even realize it when I bought it, but now we both have the same skein of yarn. So I'm thinking it might be fun to do Halloween socks.
You do realize Halloween's 2 weeks from today.
You don't have to finish them. I mean, we could even cast them on Halloween.
Okay.
And have them for
that could be fun.
And then just have them started. So that's the other one. This is my jam. This like snot baby diarrhea green, purple and oranges.
Yeah.
Then this last one is like a tonal robin's egg blue, gray, brown with a red sparkle. And these were going to be for a coworker, but I'm thinking I'm ditching the idea of socks for Christmas for my coworkers just because I don't think I'll have the time. Not that they're not deserving, and they will get socks at some point. Just not all of them at once at Christmas when I haven't started yet. So those are my acquisitions. And yeah.
Very good. Well, I have no acquisitions this time. Did you hear that clapping?
No.
Bruce, my husband, Caleb's dad, is sitting over there working with some plants. And when I said I had no acquisitions, he clapped.
Rude. It's no different than going to Walmart and saying, oh, this needs a home.
Yes, I'm going to buy this plant. Or look, I'm putting together a cactus garden and I need to buy some more things. I don't know where that vase thing came from, but I'm sure he had to buy it somewhere. He said he bought it and didn't know what to do with it, so it's been there for a while.
He's not purchasing with intention.
Not purchasing with intention, yep. Okay, he's gonna come show us.
Ooh.
This would freeze tonight. And this beautiful terracotta pot that I bought in Pueblo 5 or 6 years ago. And it's been in my garden serving as a bird feeder. And now it's serving its purpose.
Yeah, it's supposed to get down to freezing here tonight, so taking care of some precious plants.
I would have plants to bring in, but they all died already.
Next fall, you'll have plants to bring in.
Yeah, he and I need to talk about that. I'm thinking like a lilac garden, like lilac bushes in the back.
It looked nice.
Yeah, and then we can like cover them. But anyway, knitting podcast is what we're here for. So you asked me earlier, what has knitting taught me? Well, I kind of wanted to speak about like what I got to do last week. So in high school, and just like as we were growing up, I became very good friends with a family and their children. They were all the same age as us. And Claudia, their mom, is the one who taught me how to knit. Their son George and I were both going to and from Garden City taking string lessons. I was really good friends with their daughters, Emily, Jane, and Alice. And so I was over at their house often, and Mama Claude served basically as a second parent, and they're definitely a second family for me. I've been watching Pose this week. I started watching that show on Netflix. It's an FX show all around the idea of chosen family and ballroom culture in the 1980s and that kind of thing, which encapsulates the ideas of chosen family. Anyway, I got to hang out and meet up with Claudia in a park. We socially distanced, and when we because of course we had to give each other a hug. So whenever we needed to give each other a hug, we wore masks, put hand sanitizer on, all that fun stuff. But it was just so good to sit in the park, just like we were sitting in her living room 5 years ago, more than that, 8 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And just chatting about life and chatting about what's worrying us and what's new and exciting and what we're working on. And Claudia and I were talking about a pretty big development in my life. And she said, does it feel like no time has passed at all? And that's exactly how it felt. Like, I have such a connection with her through knitting, and such a trust built with her through knitting. And this is where I'm getting around to what it taught me this week, that it just was such a good connection to have. She got me hooked up into their church, and we both watched. Church is something that I'm still kind of don't know about, so we watched virtually on online together and knit. We sat and talked and knit in the park. Anytime we're hanging out, we're knitting. So it's just really nice to have that connection with people. And similarly, when Grandma first started going downhill and moved into memory care, she had that shawl that I knit her. And I don't remember if you know or if you remember this. She didn't remember me right away, or she was really confused as to why I was there, until the nurse pointed to the shawl that I had made her that was sitting there on the dresser. And again, that was another point of connection that I had. We had been MIA for a while on YouTube, and just reading the comments, hearing from Sarah and Jen and so many others. Sarah, Jen, Carrie Ann on Instagram, YouTube. I'm sure I'm forgetting other people, but I actually think there are 2 Sarahs. That's why I'm a little like, whoa. But it's just nice to have those connections with people. This weekend would have been Rhinebeck weekend, the New York State Sheep and Wool Festival. And that's another place where knitters would come together to make connections. So I guess knitting has taught me this week to be grateful for those connections and to cherish the relationships that we have through it.
Well, and I think the thing that just stands out so much for me is that the whole concept of mentoring, mentoring somebody. And mentoring someone is much easier to do when you have a common connection, and that's one of the, well, I mean, you and Claudia have several connections because of family, but the connection that has withstood and the connection that you can always come back to is the connection of knitting. And that's what I just think, as you mentor someone or build relationships, when you have that commonality, it just helps it helps to maintain that relationship.
Totally.
Yeah. I don't know if Caleb, if I even told you this at Mom's funeral. A good friend of mine, from high school, Julie, a friend of mine from high school, and I were talking, and I hadn't seen Julie for years.
And I think she watches, doesn't she?
Yeah, that's what I was going to tell you. Is that what she said? Was she said, yeah, I watch your and Caleb's podcast because we post it to Facebook. And she said, I catch it there. And she goes, and it's so much fun to watch you because Caleb is just you. She said, that's what I remember of you when we were, young adults. So that was really nice to just have that connection with her as well.
Hey, Julie.
Hey, Julie. Yeah.
So what has taught you this week?
Knitting's just been, probably when I think about the socks that I made Madison, knitting was very satisfying for me this week in the fact that I could look at it and be very, very pleased with the end product and very pleased with the growth that I've seen in my knitting. And then just taking that concept and applying it to the rest of your life and saying, that growth can happen other places and is happening in other places as well. Sometimes you need to just be able to take a step back and look at the finished product and say, yeah, this is good. So that's probably what it's taught me this week.
Very good.
So
Very good. Well.
So what have you been watching or reading? Anything? You commented on a couple things you've been watching.
Yeah, so I'm not a big TV watcher. We've talked about this. But I am at a point now where I have exhausted the YouTube that I like watching. It feels like I've been looking for new podcasts, and I found a couple, and I'm catching up on their backlog. Heather and Hops is one of them that has been very fun to watch. The Distant Stitches is another one. But I also, there are quite a few TV shows created by Ryan Murphy that have been out recently that I wanted to watch. Ryan Murphy is the creator of Glee. He's also a creator for American Horror Story. And I enjoy both of those shows visually. Like, they're very fun to look at. American Horror Story can sometimes be awful. Glee was awful towards the end, and a little bit distasteful from the very beginning, but it was 2010, so we kind of say it was a different time, but near enough that we know better. So anyway, Ryan Murphy has put out a new show on Netflix called Ratched, which is based off of The Nurse in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I have not read that book. It is now on my list to read because it sounds very good. And it stars Sarah Paulson as Nurse Ratched, and I love Sarah Paulson, even though she's kind of one note with her acting sometimes. As a person, she's entertaining. So I wanted to watch that. I watched a whole season in one day. It was last Saturday. And see, that's what I do with things, right? I watch them all at once. That's why I don't like TV series that you have to watch again and
wait for. Yeah.
And then Ryan Murphy is a contributor to the TV show Pose on FX. And I just started that this morning. I'm on episode 3 of the first season, and there has yet to be an episode where I don't resonate with something, where I don't just cry, where, you just don't want to, you just feel for these people. One of my areas of interest in research and education is the United States response to the AIDS crisis of the 1980s. Just so that I can know more but also understanding the trickle down that it's had, not to steal a phrase from Ronald Reagan, because he played a big part in what was wrong about the AIDS epidemic, and how it affects us today. You know, the fact that I still can't give blood within certain time frames of my life. I, you know, and so anyway, there are lots of things, and how it applies in education is we still don't have in many states formalized curriculum for sex ed for LGBTQ plus students. And so that all plays into my interest in this. And so, not that Pose is the end all be all of research for that body of work, but it does give an insight, especially from the ballroom culture of the 1980s and 90s, and the experience of transgender women within the LGBTQ plus community throughout that time period. So it's been very good. I recommend watching it if you are so inclined. As a mom, it would make me like hurt, because it's all about chosen family, like I said, and you know, this isn't a spoiler alert because this isn't a spoiler because it happens in the first episode in about the first 10 minutes, but somebody gets thrown out of their house and is homeless in New York City for weeks. And it's
another movie that I watched this week, and it's not new by any means, but I just hadn't seen it, and it was called Beautiful Boy. You seen that one?
I know of it. I think it's
Yeah.
like 2 or 3, 4 years old.
Yeah, but just a father who's dealing with his son's addiction to crystal meth and what they as a family go through. Oh, I tell you what, I'm very blessed that that's not anything that you three boys really ever, dabbled with, because that stuff's nasty. That stuff's nasty. So, yeah, that was a very good movie. If you need one to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, okay, here's the good thing. And of course, I binged and watched the whole season. But the new season the next season of Call the Midwife is out on Netflix. And the last season of Schitt's Creek is out on Netflix. We're not quite done with Schitt's Creek yet, but binged a little bit of that too.
I need to catch up on Schitt's Creek. I think I stopped at season 4 because I had binged 3 seasons and then was like, this is too much.
Yeah.
So I'm right at the part where they're auditioning for the musical.
Yep. So that's pretty much, the musical is pretty much all of season 5. And then this, I think, is season 6.
Oh, so maybe I have watched season 4. I don't know. I think
very good.
Yeah, I think David and
I don't remember his name.
It's when Alexis and Ted get back together, I think, is where I'm at. Spoiler alert, sorry. Because David goes and sees Ted at the office and eats like a cookie, and Ted goes, that's a dog biscuit. And David goes, a sign would have been adequate. It's funny. As far as reading goes, there are some new books that I want to get my fingers on, or my hands on. I'm wanting to utilize the library more. That's one of my goals. My budgeting goals is utilizing the library and using my stash. So there are a couple, and plus I literally can see the library from my house. So I need
Yep.
to use the library. And I've been reading on my Kindle the third book in Maureen Johnson's series, the Truly Devious series. This one is called The Hand on the Wall, and it's the conclusion to that. And it's kind of like a spooky mystery, young adult mystery. So
Very good.
in my right before bed, usually get about 4 chapters down, and then I'm out.
I would think you'd be freaked out if it's a scary at all.
It takes place in like the woods of Vermont at like a boarding school.
Okay.
If it was like about a serial killer who watches people from the public park across the street, that would freak me out. Same thing with Misery. It's about a crazy lady who lived in the middle of nowhere and pulled somebody out of a car wreck. Like, that's not my situation.
Okay. Very good.
So anyway, yeah.
All right. Well, I kind of think our podcast might be a little short today, but
That's okay.
we're at about 45 minutes or so.
Yeah. And Joshua and Madison should be back anytime now. They went to a dinner in the city. And that was at 5:30. It's now about 8 o'clock. So I'm anticipating they'll be home soon. So we'll get the air mattress blown out for them. Fun thing. I was out shopping today, and you know who I saw?
Who?
Our District 3 representative, Sharice Davids. Legend making Sharice. Okay, so she's my new district. She's our representative.
Oh, okay.
In Congress.
Okay.
Was the one of 2 Native American women to be elected, and she's the first LGBTQ woman to be elected person to be elected from Kansas for a federal office.
Cool.
I was like, oh my God. But apparently she lives in Roland Park, which is just right over there.
Cool.
She was at Aldi. Please don't go stalk her.
Very good. All right. Well, happy knitting, everybody. Hope you're having great fun with great projects, and yeah, maybe on Halloween, let's cast on a sock.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start a Ravelry group for our podcast. It'll be What Knitting Taught Me Ravelry podcast, or excuse me, What Knitting Taught Me podcast in Ravelry. And I'll start a thread in there, and we'll also start an introduction thread because it's time, we need to have a Ravelry group.
Yep.
We can meet more of our viewers because our videos get about 50 views.
And we really don't know who those views are.
So I'd love to know who they are. I know some of them are my students. One of them found them. But whatever.
Yeah.
So, and then we'll have a, do you want it to be a Halloween? Do you want it to be no, let's do Halloween socks for this one. And the prize will be a skein of To The Max yarn from me.
Okay.
And we'll put it in the Ravelry group. So anyway, be on the lookout for that. We'll also host it on Instagram, so we'll have 2 winners, one from Instagram, one from Ravelry, and yeah, it'll be great.
Very good.
And let's see, 2
Sounds
weeks
good.
from now. Hey Google, what day is 2 weeks from today?
October 31st.
You're right. So Kristen will actually be here that day.
Okay.
And but we're going to be handing out candy. We actually think we're going to create like a shoot. So I'm going to top of my steps and like shoot candies down. CHUTE,
Right.
not shoot, but shoot.
Right.
So anyway,
That'll be fun.
I'm excited. All right. Well, happy knitting. Thanks for tuning in, and we see you in 2 weeks.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.